Hey folks, if you have any interest at all in buying or selling a home in 2019, we have some very interesting information that you're definitely going to want to check out. Joining me today is Shay Jarbo with ValleyMLS.com. Now Shay, the reason this is important is this is really our first indication for 2019 on the status of the market.
Correct. We're coming off some really great 2018 news, and we're excited to see what this year brings for us, and so far so good.
That's excellent. And we were talking a little earlier also with home ownership and the value of that directly and indirectly. So that's a little teaser for a little later. But let's go ahead and jump into this status report for 2019 because it tells a really great story starting with 813 homes sold in January. Talk to us about that fantastic number.
Correct. So January we also often see as a slower part of the year, or think of it that way. And this goes to show that buyers are still out there. We've got a strong market and things are going good.
Right. I mean, it's cold. You know, it might be a little difficult. You don't think of, oh, I want to go tour a bunch of homes. But, you know, in the market that we have right now, there is that demand. And I think that number definitely shows it in the reflection. Now, the average sales price, this is probably extremely important for both buyers and sellers in knowing what they can get for the value of their home and maybe how much they should be thinking. So talk about 209,000. Is that a good entry-level number that you're seeing?
I'd say that's probably a little bit above entry.
Okay.
So from our last quarter, we noted that a large majority of homeowners or home buyers were purchasing in the 175 and below range. So technically, this is a really good representation of that middle perspective that that buyer's coming in at, or if you're a seller, knowing if you're staying close to that number, that you're going to have a good-sized buyer pool out there. Sure.
And you were mentioning that upper, 180 range, and I think the median sales price really reflects that. So that's important to realize that maybe if your budget doesn't call for a $200,000 home, there are still homes out there that you can get into.
Exactly. We've got a lot of inventory that will fit every need, and it's exciting to see that we're able to meet the needs of so many people in that price point.
Sure. And you mentioned inventory. We got that number right here, 3,447. That's down from about 4,300 in January 2018.
It is. I believe from January of last year, that's a little over 880 less homes on the market.
Wow.
So keep that in mind. And when you compare that back to how many homes sold in January, imagine what's not out there for people to see. So if your home's on the market, it's being looked at, people are really taking interest in it, there's those serious buyers out there. But again, it's that constant low inventory that's making it hard for those buyers.
Yeah, I mean, these numbers make a lot of sense, folks. There's a lot of growth happening right now in the Tennessee Valley. We're broadcasting all types of jobs announcements coming in, so you really have an influx of people coming in, so it really kind of makes a lot of sense.
Definitely a steady flow of new people to our area.
Sure, and then this last stat, 67 average days on market, knowing that you can sell your home in just a little over 2 months, it's got to be really important for potential folks that want to sell their home.
It is. For most people, when they put that house on the market, they're ready to go, they're excited, they've got to make those plans for that next stop, or they've already made them and need a quick timing to get there. This is an awesome number. We're always going to see fluctuations in this number, but this is great news for a seller.
Now, Shay, you were talking to me earlier, and I found this extremely fascinating. I mean, you talk about the benefits of home ownership, and they seem a little obvious to begin with. You know, yeah, I'm going to move into a home, probably going to have more square footage, but there's all of these indirect benefits to making the community and your city and town just better. And it starts off at a social level, talking about how places that have high ownership, you were telling me, actually experience way better quality of life.
It does. So we all expect to think wealth, personal wealth, and that's one thing we know goes along with home ownership. But would you ever have thought that there are health benefits to it?
No.
How about education? So we see people who are homeowners to have a more stable environment. Therefore, we see stronger education, and we see better health for those people.
Right. I mean, when you put it that way, moving into a home, there's pride in that ownership. There's pride in the community you're moving to and wanting to make a mark to make that community just a better place in general.
Exactly. People tend to invest not just in that home, but back into that community. Their pride is in that area. They want it to flourish, and so we see them investing, again, not just in that home, but in the community that surrounds it, making for a stronger community.
Absolutely. And talking about those indirect connections, there's a whole industry connected to home ownership. Of course, with with realtors, but also with a huge industry from landscapers to designers that those
Exactly.
jobs add when home ownership goes up.
It really does. The first thing we always think of are people who are in construction, and that is true. So even if you're buying an existing home, you may be doing some remodeling. Is it when you go to a business to purchase supplies to do that remodel? If you're doing some small ones yourself, you know, you're engaging several pieces within the community for other people to have an opportunity to be employed and to bring more value to our community.
Sure, and I could speak for the construction. I think if you drive around Huntsville or outside, you know, the New Market, I'm over in 5 Points, you see a lot of that construction going on. So those are all jobs that are made possible because people want to move out and get homes.
Exactly.
And the reason, you know, that most folks might want to go out and get a home, you know, has a lot to do with the family. You know, I mean, they're growing a family, you know, they're looking for more room, and there can be benefits to that as well.
It does. So stability and comfort. I mean, we all know we have our comfort zones, and home is that for so many people. It's a great place for families and friends to gather. It gives us a place to go back to all the time. It's a big part of memories for me as a child, thinking of my homes as a child, and I'm sure it is for you too.
Right.
It's an important piece of our life. It's even a bigger piece of our communities.
Yeah, so folks, if buying a home right now isn't something that was on your radar in 2019, with all this information we've just shown you, I would definitely encourage you to take a look at the data and to reach out to a realtor. You know, hear it from them what your options are, because you might have some options for home ownership that you didn't think were possible that can lead to a whole lot of benefits in your life and in the community.
Exactly.
Now, Shay, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, William. We appreciate it.
And of course, go check out ValleyMLS.com for all your home buying and selling needs. It really is the definitive resource for all things real estate here in the Tennessee Valley.